Hey guys, today I wanted to give you a little update on a solar project that we've been working on here on my property. As you can see behind me, we've got 3 different 18Ks mounted, and they have been producing some energy for us. We're still working on finishing up the solar panels on the rooftops, but we do have some solar hooked up to them, so they are functioning. The intent of this video is to give you a few different tips and tricks that I've learned while installing these solar panels to hopefully help make your project go a little smoother. So as you can see, I have a new Wall Mount Pro battery down here on the ground. This is the indoor model that is communicating with the existing outdoor models that I had previously. If you add the new indoor model to your array of batteries, you will need to do a firmware update on all the outdoor models. That firmware update is done through the top port on the batteries. If you have an older 18K that you are using that came with all gray cables, identify the one that says battery on one end and inverter on the other end and cut it. Do not use that cable because that will make your life a little more miserable when you're trying to get these hooked up, because this cable will crisscross the different connections in here and it'll cause the inverters to not communicate properly. So, so this inverter down here is my master inverter. It then goes from this inverter to this inverter and then back to this inverter again. So here's the master inverter. The master inverter is hooked up to the new battery, and the new battery comes all set, ready to roll. You do not need to change any of the settings on the battery. It is already set for the 18Ks. So for the paralleling, what you have to do is this right side goes from this inverter to the next one in series. And then that one will get plugged into this port on the next inverter. So this, you can always think of it as the right side is the outside and then the left side is the inside. So then on the next inverter it comes in here and then it goes out to the next one here. And when you get to the end, you'll take an Ethernet cord that goes from here on the last inverter and then comes all the way back down into the left side of this inverter. And then you also have to go through and switch your dip switches on top here. So the 2 inverters on the end will get the dip switches in the up position, and then the ones in the middle will be in the down position. So these 2 dip switches here. Another thing that is very helpful is to label all your wires. And I labeled all my wires, and then I also created a map so I know where each string is on each of the buildings. And then on this last page, I have it noted and color coordinated so I know which inverter it's plugged into. And then I've also been making notes on the page here, and I'll update them later, and I'll laminate these and hang these next to the inverter, so I'll always know if one string is showing that it's not performing well. I'll be able to quickly and easily identify which string it is, and I can start troubleshooting. The labeler that I like to use is this Nimbot labeler. They're cheap. It's like 15 bucks on Amazon, and it works very well. And I just simply put a letter on each of the wires so I know which string it goes to. So if you don't have a label already, I'll put a link in the description for this guy to make it easier to find. The other tip that I have for you is these PV wires. You need to put a ferrule on this little guy here. You need to put one of these on each of the wires. Well, the 10 gauge wire is what these are rated for, but the insulation on the outside is a lot thicker than what these little yellow plastic deals will allow for the wire to go in. So you either have to shave back the wire to slide this in, or what I like to do is just take a scissors or snippers and go right up to where that bend is. And if you give it a cut, it will actually crack the plastic, and you can just literally push the insulator off. Now you're just left with a bare metal ferrule, and you can just slide that right on the end of your wire and crimp it on. You will need this crimper here. So this just simply goes into here, and now you can shove your wire in. If you don't have one of these ferrule crimpers, I'll put a link in the description for this. There's different settings on here, so if you need it to crimp it tighter, you just loosen the screw up and then turn this little washer here, and that'll give you a tighter crimp or a looser crimp depending on what you need. So my electrical inspector is a little more picky and requires extra things to be done. He did not like that these communication cables were anywhere near any of the other wires. So he required me to put these little zip tie deals on So you basically, it's a adhesive, you stick it on and then you can run a zip tie through and I pull all the wires off the sides. I do like how clean it makes the box look. So if you are looking for some wire management, this is a great way. I still have to finish doing all of it, but you can do it on the inside here too. You can stick them on the bottom and now pull all your wires up to the top and keep everything neat and clean. If you're running the Tigo rapid shutdown modules on your panels, which are required by code, if you're putting your panels on the roof, you either need to have the rapid shutdown modules or the rapid shutdown and the optimizer modules. If you're using these modules on your array, a very helpful tip that I have found is these modules will put out 0.6 volts when they are hooked up. So it doesn't matter what you have it hooked up to. You could have 100 volts coming out of here when it's fully operating. When the rapid shutdown has been initiated or the panels haven't been hooked up to the inverter yet, you will get 0.6 volts for every module that you have hooked up. So if you have 5 modules hooked up on the roof, you will get 3 volts coming from your PV wires. So what I like to do is I hook up all my wires, switches on the outside of the building, and then before I plug them into the inverter, I'll take my multimeter and I'll check the voltage on the wires. So I'll take this set of wires here and I'll check the voltage. If I put red to red and black to black and the number on here is coming up negative, I know I've got my polarity mixed up somewhere. It's just one more step that I like to take just to make sure I didn't make any mistakes along the way. And I don't have my polarity reversed, which would cause a lot of damage to the system. I like this multimeter because it also has the amp meter on here. So if I'm doing testing, I want to just, check things. It's really easy just to clamp this onto a wire and then see how many amps I'm getting from this here and verify data with the screen or also on the AC voltage as well. So very helpful tool to have. It's a must-have if you are doing any sort of electrical work, especially with solar. So next we have our grid input. So the power comes in through here. This is your main disconnect. I still have to label all the inverters yet and the breakers, but there's a breaker for each one of the inverters, and same for the output. There's a breaker for each one of the inverters going out, and then this will come over to a transfer switch that I have put in right over there. And the purpose of that transfer switch is only for if I need to service any of these machines and I want to keep power to the house, then I just flip that transfer switch and everything works off of the grid and I can completely shut down and isolate these units. Per code, I don't think the transfer switch is required, but I put it in just as an extra little fallback feature that I have so I can, 1, service the equipment, or 2, something were to fail or want to change things later on down the road, I can simply just switch and keep the house running while I make my changes. So we ran 4-aught wires to this panel here and then from this panel to the service panel. And the wire that we used was this aluminum wire here. It actually came with 3 wires stranded together, your 2 main and then a ground and a neutral wire. And trying to cut these one at a time was a pain in the butt. I ended up finding this little wire cutter here that's a ratchet style that you can actually fit the whole group of wires and cut it all at one time, and it works wonderfully. Very little effort. It just simply ratchets together and will make the cut. Another thing you will need when you're wiring up your inverters, these main battery lugs will also need a ferrule, and they're quite a bit bigger than the PV ferrules. So you'll need a set of ferrules, and you'll also need a big heavy-duty crimper. This is a hydraulic crimper, and it works really well for crimping down the ferrules. It comes with different dies that you can switch it out with, and you just simply crank this up and it'll crimp on your ferrules onto your wires. This will also have a link in the description for it as well. When you're running your PV wire through the conduit, one thing that I would recommend is get yourself some nice rope. So I have this spool of rope. It's actually recoil rope. It's very strong, durable rope. What I did is I tied a loop onto each end, and then I would take the rope, send it through that loop, and then you wrap it around. I'm just going to simply wrap it around a couple of times like this, and then cinch it tight. Now, when you pull on this rope, it's only going to tighten on there better, and you see how it's got a nice firm grip? It will not pull off of that wire. Another thing you can do is put a little tape around here, and that'll just help if there's any seams in your conduit to help pull it through. So run a rope through and pull your wire through with a rope. The first couple of wires that you put through the conduit, you probably won't need the rope on there, but I would recommend attaching a rope to the wire after you send your first set of wires through, and then having the rope in the conduit so that you can use it when you start getting more wires running through your conduit. And then the nice part about this is it's easy to pull off. All you have to do is just grab from the bottom and pull. And now you've got your rope free. Another thing that I'd recommend is I would call Signature Solar or wherever you bought your 18K from and have them go in on the website. They can go ahead and sync all of your inverters together. So if you make one setting here, it's going to change them on all the inverters. I personally like that a lot better because it makes life a little bit easier. You don't have to double check to make sure each of the inverters took the different settings. So if you're adding the new indoor battery to your existing setup with the outdoor batteries, the one thing that I was a little bit bummed about with the indoor battery is the legs are different. They're adjustable, which is nice, but you cannot adjust them to the same height. There's not enough room as the outdoor batteries. They will sit a little bit higher. So if you have your outdoor battery sitting on the floor, you will have to hang the indoor battery on the wall in order to get it the same height as the other batteries, which is a little bit more of a pain in the butt. Not the end of the world, but it would have been nice if they would have made the legs the same length. That's the only complaint that I have with the new batteries. I like that they're cheaper. I like that they have the LED screen on the front. I like that they have the battery indicator on the front as well. I hope this video is helpful for you. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, hit that subscribe button now. I'm going to post some more videos on the solar array on the rooftops, different mounting brackets that I've used, different things that I found that work good. I also like to post different videos of different tips and tricks I use around my homestead to help make my life more efficient and help us be more self-sufficient. Please pound that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next video.